And welcome back to another edition of the True Patriot Outfitters podcast. It's me, y'all, and we are here. We have a super cool guest showing up today. Before we get into that and bringing this dude in, want to make sure that we pay the bills here. This episode of the podcast being brought to you by Vicious Fishing. We have been with Vicious for years. Greg and his entire team are an amazing group of individuals. You guys know me. It's not always just the product, but I mean, for the fact of the matter is I rely on the fishing line throughout every bit that we do, but it's more so what's important to me is the people behind the company. And Greg and his team over there are A-class and top notch, and we love them for their support of the TPO and for me out on the fishing trail as well. So Vicious Fishing, get vicious, go out, check them out, and you will not be disappointed. All right. Bills are paid. And so by now, you're probably seeing this like second week of July. All right. So hopefully some places around the country have gotten rain. We've been getting a ton of rain out here in Colorado. And it's been making for some amazing fishing out there, especially from kayaks, being able to explore a lot of these areas. And this next guy coming on here is no stranger to this whatsoever. Folks, I would like to welcome to the show Mr. Dusty Yakker. Dusty, what's happening, man?
Hey, how y'all doing, man? Good evening from the Windy City here in Chicago, Illinois.
That's right. You're way up north, huh?
Yes, man. El Norte, man. Legend of the North, Dusty. I love it. I think, in my immediate vicinity of Chicago, even though there are some really cool spots, I think as a region, though, it's a little underestimated. There's some amazing fisheries.
Well, I mean, I've fished around Illinois a lot.
Yeah.
But back in the MLF days when I was in a boat, I used to watch that division over there. And, man, some of those tournaments like on the Rend and, some of those places there, that was some tough fishing out there, man. Those guys were putting up like 11-pound bags to win it,
That's where I kind of got my start in fishing, hanging out with my dad as he fished early Midwest Bass Association and early Redman divisions like on the Mississippi River, Red Lake, Carlisle, Shelbyville, all the impoundments. And, sometimes we stuck them, but a lot of times it was small bags. So, it could be a challenge like anywhere, but get up to places like, Green Bay, Sturgeon Bay, or even like get on 5-6 pound smallmouth, giant kings, whole bunch of stuff, nonstop.
Dude, the one thing about tough fishing in Colorado, we appreciate that when it's tough, high pressure fishing. One thing it does do is hone your skills.
Yes.
Because every bite counts. You may only get 5 bites. You better put 5 in the boat. But then you got the reverse. The name you just said, Sturgeon Bay. Dude, that's like 30, 35-pound bags of smallmouth to win those events up there. It's insane.
That's insane. I know. Definitely. It's neat that that's a resource that's capable of doing that. I've certainly been up there when it's stingy. I've certainly been up there when it's a challenge to be successful or even be mobile in a kayak. But I've also been up there when it's been bonkers and you're catching 30 and 35-pound bags, and just setting back on some big smallmouth all day.
Brother, that's a different game too when you start talking big water from the yak. I'm still rookie in the kayak world. I mean, I've done one season. I'm going through my second right now. And I'm fortunate to have the kayak that I have that I can handle big water. I mean, I've taken 3-4 footers on, from boats and such and been able to, be successful. But at the same time, that's a different bird, man. You can't get too far offshore there, and at least safely and try to, pick apart boulders like that.
No, that's absolutely a true statement. It's weather dependent. And safety becomes, paramount immedely. I mean, even in like, 12 to 15 mile per hour winds, that could be super dicey out there. It can get bad. And you have to know what you're doing. So,
isn't that funny? 12 mile an hour winds here in Colorado. That's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for us, pretty much on any body of water. But you get on a big body of water, dude. That becomes real. That's a different game,
without a doubt. So, yeah, well, I love our sport, but you have to realize your limitations.
Isn't that the truth? And that's a hard. One of the things about fishing in general, not to get too far down a rabbit hole, but one of the things that as I get older, I laugh at this, and now I realize, I stop laughing because it's like, okay, you're going to cause somebody to really hurt themselves. Is that whole macho thing? It's like we got a bunch of these, guys that I used to hang out with. We're all sitting in $80,000, $90,000 boats and trying to act like we're these old salty fishermen. It's like, bro, we are nothing what those guys, the generations before us went through. But more importantly, it is not a testament of macho manhood, whatever you want to call it, to see what sort of crappy conditions you can tolerate or be willing to go out. That's a level of stupidity, in my personal opinion.
Feeling alive, seeing what you're made of. I mean, generally those are characteristics that are celebrated, but it also gets you in a heap of trouble. I found myself into a really bad spot not too long ago in situations that at first glance didn't even look too bad. It was a river that was running a little high at 6 or 7 miles per hour, but I found myself in a bad spot real quick, and moving water isn't a joke. So just to get back to what we were saying. You have to respect every segment of Mother Nature. But even the most pleasant-looking situation can be that.
For sure. So for folks that have been living underneath a rock and not seeing your content out there, because if you're involved in kayak fishing or fishing in general, you've had to come across Dusty Yakker. I mean, dude, you have a phenomenal content, your channel that constantly producing cool, informative, and just really fun stuff to watch. Where did you, who are you? Where you come from? We know you're in Chicago. There. What do you do? What do you do for a living? And what got you into kayaking, man?
Oh gosh, that's those are a lot of questions. I hold a PhD in ADHD, so focus here.
Yeah. What do you do for a living when you're not in a kayak?
Yeah, let's dissect that a little bit. Well, yeah. I'll tell you what, it's been a little while, but I was a teacher for a long time, for upwards of 13 years, and with the complications of COVID and some other situations that unfolded, I found myself having to get out of that arena, and the blessing was that I had discovered kayak fishing a few years before this sort of developed. So there was I don't have children, and I live very frugally, and I said to myself, hey, this is a great opportunity to just sort of do what I always thought was a ridiculous pipe dream, which is to try to fish full time or to try to do things like that. And a couple of years later, I found myself happy as hell, and fishing when I want, and traveling the country, and having a creative opportunity with Catch Outdoors and my personal content, and just really running with that. And really what I'd like to do is expand on that. I'm a writer and a musician, and what I really like to do is in the future do a lot of composition, a lot of writing, and sort of up the content game that way.
That is awesome stuff, man. That is super cool. I feel with you that I had an opportunity to actually go feet first into this thing and go. I have on the flip side, I have a support system behind me by a system. Number one, first and foremost, my wife, who is way smarter than me, way more successful. And she made it possible for us to start this small business and make a run at this. And, and then she had no idea it would morph into where it's at right now and what we're doing with it. But yeah, man.
Yeah. I hate to use the cliche, you only live once, and life is short, but man, it is remarkably so. And it's very much like that. And as I find myself, getting into my 40s, stereotypically as a dude, you reflect on a lot of things, and there's a lot of different perspectives. So to really take advantage of opportunities and to sort of seize the moment of your passions is a beautiful thing. And
agreed.
That's sort of the thing that we advocate in the content, or I really want to hone in on in some of the messages that I disseminate. But getting back to your earlier question about how I got into kayaking, I've been around water and interested in the outdoors and fishing my entire life. With respect to those reflections I've been doing, I've really been thinking back to just how important outdoor settings and nature was for me as a child. I just thought I just loved to kind of do it. Looking back, I realized how crucial it was. It was vital that I got to these quiet places because I grew up in the city, and the fast pace of it and the urban nature was sort of cool. It was my home, but boy, did I really value those trips to Michigan and Wisconsin that we'd go on these family trips. And that's how I sort of, got into fishing and learned my love of it and was able to explore it a little more and really never let it go. But, getting into high school and college, in my day and age, there weren't there weren't scholarships. There was no YouTube. There wasn't this explosive information age. I was from the North. It seemed like something that Southern guys did. It was sort of a different world, but I'd say about, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 years ago, my wife surprised me with a box store, a sit-in kayak for my birthday one day. And I used that to become, more mobile. I put it on the roof of my truck, and when we went camping and we'd explore, I would have easy access, and I fell in love with what the kayak did. It's low overhead, ease of use, lightweight. The intimacy that that you can use it to get on the water. I mean, the whole package. And of course, that sort of fueled and kept my interest in fishing and exploring and
right.
doing stuff. And I was out one day, and some guy told me he was in some kayak tournament. I didn't quite understand how he could possibly be doing that. He was in an online tournament, and I had no idea how that worked. And having avoided social media for so long, I did. I avoided it for so long, so I wasn't on it. He was in a rush at the parking lot loading. He had to get home, and he said, "Here, just check this out. Go on Facebook, search this." So I went home, and that's funny. It's another lead in here. That's why my name is Dusty Yakker. I went home, and as a teacher, I didn't want to make a Facebook or a social media account for the first time with my real name, because
right.
the first thing that your students want to do, and I was a junior high teacher, so all they begged me so they could just mess with me. So anyways, I made up Dusty Yakker real quick, and I explored some of the local kayaking club opportunities. And when registration rolled around early the next season, I just ran with it. Had a lot of success immediately. And
now, was that a local, or was that a KBF? What was that one?
That was both KBF and local leagues. In fact, pretty much the Michigan Kayak Trail, which I think is just one of the best local trails around. It let me actually, that's where I won some Hobies. So I won some Hobies in some tournaments and some championships there, and I said to myself, "Hey man, I could do this," and kind of just went on from that.
So, and that is a great lead-in. You are a regional team member for Hobie Fishing, right? I mean, for Team Hobie, yeah. And how long have you been with Hobie? Like from the beginning?
Yeah, I think I've been with Hobie for this was going on 3 years. I was with a local. Well, I was with Quest Water Sports, a local dealer, for a year or two, and then jumped up to the regional team. Now we're in the process of streamlining that for the 2024 season. So I think there's some great things coming. It's been a blast, and I look forward to the future.
Nice. On national scene for tournaments, what besides KBF, what other national trails have you been fishing lately?
Well, the last couple of years, I really tried to do a lot. I tried to do pretty much anything that came up. I was fishing the Hobie and the KBF. You staying on the road for long periods of time, and that was biting off a little more than I can chew. So right now, what I decided to do for this season was fish a couple isolated events, but concentrate on the Hobie BOS series. So
nice.
That is plenty of a challenge, and plenty to chew on. Just getting back from Cayuga and sort of recalibrating from that whirlwind of an experience.
I bet. And Hobie still continues to set the bar out there. I mean, I give it a lot of crap just for, and I do this in jest with, poking one piece of fun at it. And that is, I'm a new canoe guy.
Okay.
We're propulsion, man. I mean, we're motors all day long, baby. That's just all it is. So I always say the Hobie boss is, the Hobie owner's trail, because it is designed. We all know you guys got the best damn drive when it comes to a pedal system. We know that. There's no question.
It's a great platform, and I'm grateful to be on it.
But I'll tell you, this past weekend, and Blake, if you're listening, don't worry, it wasn't a tournament. I had a chance for the first time to get in a Hobie PA14. And I can tell you, now this had the 180 drive in it. And I can tell you that there are a lot of similarities between that platform of the PA and the Unlimited when it comes to the primary and secondary stability points.
Sure.
The PA's got a strong secondary, and so does the Unlimited. So it was it felt very natural to me in that PA, because it's like, okay, yeah, you guys got a little rock too, so it helps you cut that water. It's not like some of those old towns where you stand on them and that don't move. It's just you're sitting on a dock basically.
Are you a stand-up fisherman predominantly?
Not predominantly, no. I've learned that, I'll sit just because I'm a shallow water guy. So I tend to be around a lot of trees and stuff.
Okay.
And with a motor, I'm not being dumb and, bumping a motor and taking a swim.
Totally.
So, but I will occasionally, I do stand up, but I wouldn't say that it's, I'd say maybe a third of the time I stand up and fish.
I would agree with that. I'd say, I mean, condition dependent for sure. There are times when I've stand up all day and fish, but
yeah.
I'd say generally speaking, that's probably the breakdown. And it's kind of interesting how my fishing has adapted from that, because I started on the shoreline, and then of course in a boat for a long time with my dad, and then my own. But in the kayak, it's funny how you become adapted to, or getting used to rather, sitting down and fishing, and especially having to adjust.
I was going to say it's the casting, bro. I've learned new techniques for casting and pitching and flipping, and
absolutely. I just got back just at Cayuga, mechanics skipping, skipping pretty much, and flipping was the key. And I observed a lot of some competitors and some other anglers in the area, trying to hit the docks, but not doing so in a fashion that I would have done to break it down. And it proved that I was able to get a lot of big fish that were passed by other anglers, strictly because, you're in a kayak and you have the ability to get that bait, if you can do it into some really tight spots. And I've been on the water so long over the last 3 or 4 years that some of these left and right hand roll casts I'm taking for granted. I mean, I have a lot of shortcomings, but like the casting was on fire last week, and I was just
awesome.
Yeah, I was just amazed at what I was hitting without any, setbacks whatsoever. So I really credit that to being able to pull some of those bigger fish out.
Well, I can tell you this. When I made the transition from boat to kayak, it was about tournament number 2. I had completed pre-fishing for it, and I went into tournament number 2, and I got done. And as I'm driving home, I always do a debrief with myself. I'll do a videography with just myself a lot of times. Then I'll do a breakdown video. Okay. But I do this so that I can go back later and watch my thoughts and, go through, and I take my notes and do, helps me break it all down with myself, so to speak. But one of the things I noticed, and I'll say flat out, is that kayak fishing absolutely exposes gear and skill deficiencies.
Without a doubt.
And all of a sudden, some of these old reels that I had been using that I thought, I could get another season out of them. Now from a kayak, I can't, because I can't step into the cast, and I can't horse it like I used to.
Look, that's a major thing.
Oh my gracious. Yeah. I mean, from the action of the tip to the backbone of the rod, all of a sudden now I have, the majority of what I'm throwing is, if I'm, in tight is all medium heavy blanks, and I'm wanting a little bit faster tip because I need that thing to get, I want that blank to, get into that hook set faster. Than what, I don't Carolina rig fish anymore because I used to just like swing my, my hook set. I could walk off the deck of my boat, my hook set with a Carolina rig. I don't do that anymore. It's like, I just don't have the room.
Yeah, well, there's some great adaptations I've made with jerk baits, deep cranking, and Carolina rig drifting. If the conditions are right, you can set up a really good drift with Carolina rig, and it'll really assist you on a sweeping hook set. But it's not a boat platform. You're never gonna get that
Right. But
off
yeah,
track.
man, it's I noticed immediately it's like, well, we're going to have to improve these areas of our skill sets too, and immediately learning how to break, find patterns within patterns,
Yeah.
and take an area and literally surgically, break it apart. There's some guys that I'll face on the local chain here that if I see them working up a bank, I don't even bother going behind because I know they're not going to leave a piece of meat on that bone. Then there's other guys that I know that, hey, I probably could go behind them and still find a few fish type thing. But yeah, it is a super, super sensitive, world from kayak angling for sure. But so the Hobie Boss, that's been your primary focus there. I'm gonna throw it out there, dude, because I am a huge believer in them. All American. Have we got you in any of those events yet?
No, no.
All right.
You have not, but I have been. I have been seeing it. Of course, I'm on social media often, so I have taken a look at that. I can't say I'm super familiar with the locations or what's going on in it, but I know that it's close to my region. Y'all have a lot of Midwestern kind of locations, so making those events, there would be no excuse for me not to. Yeah, it's definitely something to keep my eye on in the future.
Well, you got dinner on me, dude. If you get to one of these, I will connect up with you for sure because
Well, the kicker.
yeah, the All American side of things. A small plug for them. Josh Booth runs the deal over there. This year we did have a lot of really they're amazing fisheries, but a lot of people don't know about them.
Well, did it? Don't wasn't like Ozarks or Truman or Table Rock or something like that?
So that is the heart of where the All American was first conceived. It came out of Moyak, right? And Moyak is one of the bigger regional, statewide ones. They put 80, 90 yaks, an event up.
Do a great job.
And they're just freaking hooks down there for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where they birthed this, where it came up. But no, Truman was our show of our classic. That was our big Super Bowl. It's the All American Kayak Classic.
Okay.
And we had about almost 200 anglers show up for that one, about 30 grand in payouts that went out. It was freaking phenomenal. Yeah.
Great.
That's the one thing when people see it is that the All American is definitely about the angler and pushing money back to them. And of course the flyover states, man. It's a lot of the anglers that get left out because not everybody can do what you and I do, which is travel that far, And so it's having a representation is a big piece out there. So we'd love to have you in there, man. When you do that, you let me know if you see one. Next year's schedule, I have a feeling is going to be fire.
Yeah,
with some names you're going to recognize.
Without a doubt. I mean, it's interesting what's happening in the scene. It's kind of hard to put a finger on it. There's just I think that there's been a great evolution of learning, what needs to be done. Like you said, Hobie BOS sets a standard for professionalism, and I think that at this time in our space and our sport. People have a really good notion of how to run good events and how to start a good trail. And there's a lot of good professional people who recognize the importance of professionalism and integrity. And
agreed.
It's a great thing for not only people like you and me, but the people who have a more limited access to the space too.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If Bass decides to put more than 5 events on and gets them all, not so heavily southeast of the U.S. type thing, they have a chance to really, blow it up as well. I mean, they're putting good numbers up. It's KBF's look like they're going to do a resurge there. They're Chad's doubling down from the last video I saw him, out there. So it's a cool time to see things unfold here. And we are excited to see what happens with the All American itself, because it's just, like I said, I think it's an area of the country that needs represented. And I think when people go to this and see how well Josh runs an event, that they'll be hooked like we are as well. So
no, I think Josh does a remarkable job and certainly has a good reputation for doing so.
Yep. Okoboji, man, you ever been over there?
I have not.
Dude, there's some monster fish in that water. It is a really nice fishery over there. I want to say 100. It took 100 and gosh 190. I have to look back. 190 plus inches over 2 days to win that thing. It is there's some big fish in that water, and it gets tournaments every weekend, and it just keeps producing hogs, smalls, and it's that little chain right there
Yeah.
of lakes in there.
It's amazing how some fisheries withstand a lot of the tournament pressure because I get a chance to go to some of these iconic lakes, and I see there's a big boat tournament, 3 little local club tournaments. I'm launching with 60 different boats, and it's just like wow, it's
Yeah,
I'm proud. I'm proud to be in a sport that involves itself in the CPR deal. Where we can just put that fish right back.
right.
I know we're catching them. I know we're catching them still, and there's a little stress involved in that, but they go right back in the water. It's a good thing.
Dude, it is the ultimate in sport fishing as far as how we can leave no trace. I mean, I'm a huge proponent of it, and I do love that piece also of kayak fishing, the conservation deal that's involved with that.
Yeah.
So, and that it's kind of a segue, rolls us into this catch outdoors. Talk to me about that. You are heavily involved with catch, and we all know them because it's the only legal board that's available out there nowadays. They've set the standard for that.
Some people bemoan the monopoly, but Catch has stepped up with a solid product and solution for what was definitely needed in the sport, and it's a great American company to really witness. What they do in there, and to work with. It's really kind of a dream come true to kind of work with a company like that. Duke's a funny guy. He's a great guy, but ultimately he's very supportive. Catch Outdoors. I'm glad you gave me the opportunity to talk about this because not that there's any confusion really, but it's good to break it down. Catch Products, or people that manufacture the bump boards. That's the manufacturing division. Catch Outdoors is the content and videography division. So. They're kind of separated that way. But what we've done in the last year is take a little break from the long pieces that we were doing, the long form content that we were doing, and what we want to do is focus on a series of smaller, more digestible bits. So what I'm running right now is a series called Cast to Catch. Where I take the experience of a cast to catch a video clip, from many different scenes or perspectives, and talk about it from both expected and unexpected angles about all the possibilities and relationships and outcomes and things that we consider as people, as humans, in our relationship with nature and the outdoors. Between the cast and the catch, whether it's the literal cast and your catch, or whether it's the metaphoric one for the beginning and ends of our journeys, or the in-betweens. That's the beauty of this series. It gives me such an open space to talk about some of the things that I really like to talk about, because as I've mentioned a little bit before in some of my contents, it's great, but it's easy to cheerlead with the fish, with the grip and grins. It's natural. It's great. I mean, I do it too. I continue to do it. I did it today. I mean, we love big fish, but sometimes I think that there's a little more that we can give. There's a little more sort of obligation, if you will. I mean, I know that's a strong word, to impact and influence rather than impress, with the big fish. So, I'd kind of like to be a champion for that. Get away from a little bit of the artifice of the social media and get more into what could be meaningful for the community, whether it's our kayaking space or just, people at large.
Bro, I absolutely love that. Oh my God. I mean, that is on so many levels. You just said a mouthful there, because I was tracking you with this and my brain started to, log it, and all of a sudden, boom. But absolutely, I totally get what you're talking about, is that, and to gene it down real quick for you, but It's so easy when people on social media, if you look in the normal realm of it, everybody's life looks great and they have great hair and they
Totally.
got, yeah, they're on all these vacations. What they don't see is you screaming at the kids and the kids screaming at
Oh,
you and this and that. We don't put that stuff on social media.
of course.
So we're talking that with fishing in the kayak community here is that it's easy to do the grip, put the fish up there and say that was the result of my day. But what they
Right.
didn't see
Right.
was the 7 hours prior of no bites and working your way through,
Yeah.
getting ready to, throw your fishing rod in the lake and take
Oh,
up ping pong because you think you forgot how to do it. Bro, do I get that? I mean, if one guy gets it, it's definitely me because it's, I've had a series of that come through in the slumps of our sport. I'm not a big drinker, but by God, I'm thinking about picking it back up, because the sport will do that to you.
yeah. No, it'll certainly drive you for loops. But of course, there were some frustrations when you're just kind of fishing for fun. I remember when I couldn't even. I remember younger when there's no paradigm of thought for what the competitions were because you weren't in them, and
Yeah.
but my frustrations might have been, dang it, I can't backlash this one reel I have with this one line. I'm 14 years old. If I have to buy like a spinnerbait, I got to moast my neighbor's lawn to get $10 to go to the so like those are my worries. They're like whether or not like Lisa was going to call me back in sophomore high school. It's like those kind of worries.
Right.
Now it's like kind of a grander scale of high pressure tournament fishing, and it's amazing the personal growth because I was just a horrible competitor. I mean, horrible from the standpoint of just allowing the tumultuous nature of that stuff to just get to me big time, and for it to make me moody and for it to make me upset on drives home and stuff like that. And it still does that, but I have I've learned so much in the past several years about how to handle those swings, how to look at what you're doing versus how you're feeling, and ultimately understand myself and like who I am exactly. And once you do that, you're able to sort of whittle it away in a great way from there. But,
Well, and correct me, see if you agree with this. One of the pieces that I have learned so much, especially in the last 6 months, has been something that I always said before in my other portions of life, but I don't think I ever really truly understood it until now. While I may have done it here more than ever, and that is define what success means to you. When you go to this tournament, what is going to make it a successful tournament? Because if it's results alone, if it's only result driven, you're probably going to be pretty frustrated on the drive home. Because
exactly, no, that you've nailed it in the bullseye. It really depends on what it is you want out of it. For me, I'm a big reader. I love obscure stuff to American iconic stuff. I grew up reading books like Travels with Charlie, and I've always been fascinated with like travel logs and experiences on the road. I've always felt an obligation that I've been to some pretty cool places in the world. I'm certainly not a world traveler, but I've had some cool opportunities. But what I've really not done, for example, is explore the American West. I was a history teacher, so I'm a student of history, a buff, sort of a nerd, and these tournaments afford me that opportunity. They afford me to just get on the road, see some corners of America that are really neat, and to have some really cool experiences, and to observe people, and to learn about myself along the way. But there's also the reality of the tournament looming. You invest a lot of money and time into that, and I'm a competitor. One of the things I've learned about myself is, hey, look, man, the switch is on or it's off, and I'd rather have it on. And with the on comes some shit. I mean, seriously. I mean, I know it's funny, it is, and I'm glad you're laughing, but for real, with on comes things that I have to accept as me that might be a little off-putting to others sometimes. But I get away with it because there's a genuine beauty to it. It's Dusty versus Dusty. It's not aimed for anybody else, not aimed or anything anybody else. It's just me. Sometimes you see me and it looks like I've just been run over by a truck at the lawn. People are, and I'm devastated, and other people might be a little upset, but when they see me, they're like, dude, are you all right? And I'm just like, it's just like, just doom and gloom, like 14-hour car ride with no radio, silent the whole time, things like that.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, but I'm a freaking real fine-tuned instrument, like really fine. I'm able to perceive, hums that other people can't perceive, but with that comes some sensitivity, so
sure.
That's how I roll, man. Love it or leave.
That's the thing, man. You get a chance, and this is where, it leads into this. I mean, we're talking fishing, folks. I mean, that's the thing. It's fishing, and that's it, really, at the end of the day. But inside the world of tournament fishing and inside the world of, taking this, beyond just, sport fishing in general, there are so many small little areas here. And this is what attracts people like yourself, Dusty, and myself, and so many, thousands upon thousands of other people that get locked into our sport. It's what led us to researching it further to understand it's got to be something more than just an addiction. What is it that we're getting from it? And when we discovered that it's, dude, you're being healed. Your body is healing itself. It's what helped us create the TPO, man, and why we knew we had to share this with our war fighters and those that keep us safe and sound at night in the communities.
Listen. We live in a wondrous time. There's a lot of great things going on. There's a lot of wonderful people out there. Most of the people have great hearts. It's great, but you know what? There's some crazy things going on in the world. And one of them really is just the speed at which we're doing things, and the speed with which information is just pushed at us. And there's so many distractions, and there's really hardly any quiet places left, in cities and in big towns. And we've gotten ourselves into a big mess. It's really not natural. And to get back to a more natural rhythm or a more natural pace that the outdoors offers is, for me, and I think for a lot of other people, obviously, you can attest to it, is just necessary on so many different levels. And, for me, that's what keeps me alive. Seriously. I mean, I have to sort of be immersed in that sort of thing in order for me to feel creative and, a sense of purpose and whatnot.
Right.
Before I get off on a tangent here, I mean, that's definitely a great thing, a great opportunity.
No, totally, man. And it's one of those things that, we realized early on what it was all about. And it's exactly, you hit it right there, which is it's getting back to quiet times. We can quiet voices down. You get in that kayak. It is a far more intimate experience with the water and with that which you are hunting out there on the water when you're in a kayak, because you're literally a hand reach down to the water to their home. And when you get in big grass, dude, you got grass hitting you in the face now. In my boat, it was grass is down there, type thing. And I'm standing, 6 foot above it as I'm casting off the deal. Still an amazing experience, but there is something even better. I wanted, if you don't mind, I wanted to share something from your Facebook. You had these pictures from Cayuga that you put up that are just stunning shots. Steve Fields, I believe, got some shots.
Yeah, man. He's I'm glad you put that up there. He does some really great work. Sort of live emceeing the events out there. I think it's sort of underappreciated, but he runs around in the boat, flies the drone, makes a live broadcasts, and it's kind of a neat thing. I think that when professional organizations and bass fishing stuff, putting it on cable and getting really smart, articulate MCs to talk about the back of the experience of angling, and people like Mark Zona and the people that host, Bassmasters, it did wonders for the sport, and it really brought in an audience. And I think it's stuff like this that I think is something that can really elevate what we do. To really bring it in full color and in unique perspectives into people's phones and hands and screens and things like that.
Totally, man. I mean, these shots are, were just phenomenal, and just it truly captures. I mean, this water's glass, sitting out here. That is awesome stuff.
I'm definitely going to be back to the Fingers Lake region, even if there's not a tournament. The sole reason I went to Cayuga was because I had such a pleasant experience fishing Lake Champlain a couple years ago when Hobie went up to that area on the Vermont border. And I wanted to get back to that region. I could have sworn it was like a hour drive for me, but it turned out to only be 9 hours. So it was great. The weather turned out to be nice, and there was monster smallmouth and big fat largemouth caught. So it was great.
It seemed like the green ones had shoulders, man. The way those things were built, it was so weird.
Super thick. Yeah, I had a couple on Sunday that I wish I could have landed. The standings would have been a little different.
How did you end up on that one? I have to admit I didn't look.
That's okay. I finished 15th, so I cut a check. It's a very respectable finish. I have to hang my hat and be proud, but boy, I tell you, I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you that I have to add some of those visuals to a long list of the things that occasionally keep me up at 4 a.m. in the morning. It's crazy. I mean, I know we all have them, but I've had some remarkable fish misses that have cost me tens of thousands of dollars over the last 3 or 4 years, and it's really I have an okay resume for kayak fishing and kind of the short amount of time I've been in it, but it would be much more impressive had I been able to hold on to a few more key fish.
Well, if you came in 15th, I think the guy right in front of you was Mr. Jody Queen himself. I think he was 14th.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, and Jody is a friend of ours. He was so very gracious back when we first started the True Patriot Outfitters and started this podcast. Jody was obviously one of our, I want to say 3 or 4 episodes in, he was a guest with us. And to have an OG like that, one of the pioneers and one of the guys that is one of the most consistent anglers, no matter where you put this guy.
Amen.
He, it was, and, to obviously know he's a veteran as well. He supports, a lot. That's why we've got him in our intro. I had to include that in our little interview we did with him there. And he's always a guy there to give advice and help out when you need something, and so that was, you're holding good company there, man, for what it's worth.
Yeah, no, I have to be happy with that. It's been a very consistent season for me. I had one brutal tournament, and hopefully this was a way to sort of X that out. I've got a couple opportunities left to finish super strong, but I hope that finish on Sunday was enough to wrap up a TOC spot. I was 20th in AOI going into that event, so hopefully I've increased a few spots and put myself in a more solid position.
What's the schedule look like for Hobie Boss for the remainder of the year?
You got the New River event in Virginia coming up in a few weeks. After that is the La Crosse Mississippi River event in August, and then I think it closes out with Sam Rayburn in Texas. I don't think I'll be able to get to that one, but obviously that's.
For sure. La Crosse, you got to be excited about. That's not too far away for you. You can get over there pretty quick.
La Crosse?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah, definitely. That's 4 hours. So that's a hop. Yep. It's funny how you get desensitized to long car rides when you do.
Oh yeah, no, it's one of the best pieces of advice I was given. Mike McClelland, when I was, we had him on here, and this guy's been, professional bass fishing for 20 plus years, 26 years. McStick, I had a chance. I actually marshaled when the MLF bought FLW, and they were holding those super tournaments. Okay. Where they were bringing some of the Bass Pro Tour guys, were able to enter in with the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit guys.
Okay.
And they did that for a season, and I actually marshaled one of those events. And on 3 days, I had Mike McClellan, Josh Bertrand, and Justin Atkins were the 3 guys I got a chance to ride with.
Oh, God.
And McClellan gave me the best piece of advice. He said, when I was asking him about, we're really wanting to break from I was in the IT industry for 23 years. I actually worked for a school district for 10 years. Okay. I did IT for the school district. And, I told him we wanted to get in. He's like, well, here's the deal. You do understand if, you're going to be part-time angler and part-time truck driver. Those are the 2 things the hours you're going to put on. And I'm like, I kind of grew up on the road, so it's not a real bad thing. It's kind of my therapy is that road time when I'm out there. So,
that's an important piece. Actually, I talk about that. I built a lot of content around that because, you think about where you spend your time, and there's a lot of time in the vehicle, and even some of it could be stressful. But I tell you what, the American road is underestimated. The vast majority of it is very smooth and open. The city kind of gets bad, but you spend so much time in there that it's an opportunity to do a lot of things. And there's podcasts. You can educate yourself. But there's a lot of like downtime where you can think without being distracted. You could you could do the necessary and often hard work of like drawn out thought process, which is what gets squeezed out in our hectic lives of constantly having to do this. You don't have time to sit around and think. I mean, some of the best artwork in the entire world, some of the most creative pieces in the world, some of the most comprehensive, cool shit we've done as mankind has been because, people didn't have a phone in there. People have like, 2 divorces or on 6 meds or whatever. Some bizarre life. They're dedicated to some work or some passion. And I think we need a little more of that, man. Just a little more of being able to think critically about things, analyze it, think things through, man.
So I did a stint in the financial industry, and one of the best pieces of advice I was ever given is cash is a position. For those of you who do not understand what that means, there's options you have. You can buy, you can sell, or you can just hold your cash and not do anything. And that's the point of this. I love your passion about this, Dusty, and that's the point. Sometimes the best move is to sit still. Take in everything that you're seeing here and just let it process through your head for a little while. You don't always have to make a move immediately. Yeah. Sometimes think it.
Totally. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say go to Tibet and be a monk.
No.
Like that's not, people jump to that conclusion. No, just don't have knee-jerk reactions. Don't push through things. Think through things. And it's just amazing at some of the conclusions you can come up to, or just some of the ways that you can think. A great personal growth mechanism.
Well, dude, and that's I say this all the time. It's a simpleton mind, and that does this a lot, which is complex issues. People will try to find the quickest, easiest answer because that's easy to comprehend. Sure. So it's got to be that. So they don't want to embrace that grind. They don't want to embrace the complex situation. And I 100% agree with you. We got to get back to being okay with being uncomfortable every now and again, man. Totally. It's all right.
And it is hard work. I mean, I can understand why. And I can understand why people want to get home from work and pop the Netflix on, man. And it's uncomfortable sometimes about things like that. But
right,
while you're driving to a tournament and it's 12 hours away, you might as well give it a shot.
Well, dude, Catch Outdoors. That videography piece, that sounds super, super cool, and I can't wait to watch this stuff unfold. If there are opportunities in there for content or anything we can do to help on that side, please reach out, man. Let us know. I am 100% on board with that. I love that concept of the in between stuff of that cast to catch. That I love that concept. That's fantastic stuff.
For sure.
So you've been doing this a while. You got Hobie, you got Catch, and there's another one that we have up there that I also wanted to make sure. You've been with the Dakota Lithium batteries for some time now, right?
Oh yeah. Well, absolutely.
And so obviously, I believe it or not, in the bass boat world, I always wanted to look at lithium, but I had like 4 batteries in my boat. You know what I mean? I had my cranking, and then I had my 3 for my 36. And I just, I was getting to the point where it's like, at what point is enough money enough? So I never went lithium there. But in a kayak, bro, it's a must, dude. I don't want an 80-pound battery sitting behind me, So lithium's a must there.
For sure. I mean, its major selling point is it's being lightweight. So I remember the days of lugging around the sealed lead acid batteries from the cabin to the dock. My dad would make me do it. Like 2 of them. These things were like 80. So yeah, those days are gone. And when it comes to obviously the kayaks we're in, yes, they're ultra conducive, and the technology is just getting better. Of course, with Dakota Lithium, that's a great product with the best warranty on the market, 11-year warranty. And speaking of Dakota, Craig Storms, who heads up the marketing for Dakota, is just doing a wonderful job in the fishing space in general with the Bassmasters things and the incredible sport and the incredible support in the kayak space. So just a super grateful for him, man. Shout out to him. But yeah, those batteries have treated me well. Speaking of that, I'm waiting for Catch to settle in with a few things, but we're going to be doing some really cool rigging with a stern mount trolling motor and a bow mount trolling motor for my kayaks, and we're going to sort of do it live, not live, but we're going to sort of involve the process in a series of content pieces with Catch. So,
well, dude, All American will let you in with 2 motors. They're completely, we don't have a rule against it. As long as you don't violate the rated capacity piece of that kayak. In other words, as long as it still is Coast Guard safe, sure. Rated. You want to put 2 motors on? Put 2 motors on there.
No. I'm putting a stern on one kayak and a bow on
okay. I was going to say, dude, I've actually been thinking of putting because I've got a Newport and an XI3.
That would be insane. Maybe stack like three live scopes just to get like a 360 perspective or something.
No, hang on tight because you'll love this. I'm actually going to sell my live scope. This is my 2nd year of really using it, and I'm not that guy. I'm not going to be an offshore guy. It's just extra stuff, but I will put 2 motors on my kayak.
I've tried to get away with with minimalism. Not because I'm a purist or I have some sort of stance. I really like the idea of the pedal drive, but obviously that's antiquated. I'm sounds like I'm talking from 4 or 5 years ago. That obviously what's exploded and what's real now is motors. I don't know where that's going to lead to, but I don't know where that's going to lead to with respect. Like, when you think about the future, with the way things are going with laws and legislation and green movements and just the environmental concerns in general, thinking long term, I don't know how much longer big gasoline chugging boats are going to be around. I mean, I'm sure the future is electric propulsion. So it's going to be like how that evolves. If bass boats and kayaks sort of evolve along a parallel line, or if they sort of intersect and like they hybridize and you kind of have that. I mean, maybe that's even going on now. I don't know, but it's sort of interesting to see or interesting to think about what'll happen with respect to that. So,
and that's one of the things I got a lot of traction when I was part of, back in my boat days, I was part of the Mercury Pro team. And of course, when they put out promo videos, we regurgitate those, on all of our social channels as part of the team. And I put out one of their concept video for the Aviator that they were coming up with, which was an outboard electric, that they're for small craft. And man, the feedback, the views, that we got on YouTube for that have just, are tens of thousands. And some of the feedback where folks are talking about, this new motor, new that, new this, and I don't reply to them, but it's the fact of the matter is this stuff's been going on in Europe for about 30 years now. They've been using electric motors around a lot of those areas.
Yeah,
we're just now kind of catching up. But, obviously you're still going to have your range, is going to be the issue, how far these things can go. But in the kayak scene, I really wish somebody would get their head out of their booty and give Motor Guide some competition. For the love of Pete, it's a 36-inch shaft. I mean, that's how tough is it? Ghost. Let's go. Oh, man. Let's go, Garmin. I mean, I loved my Force on my bass boat, dude. That Garmin Force was the bee's knees. And yeah, I'm sitting here going, hey, the Motor Guide's cool. not for nothing, but at the same time, I know competition helps us. So somebody get in the game there, because I bet you one more bow mount trolling motor comes in the game, I bet you then you don't see too many places left that are saying no motors allowed. Newport's going toe to toe with Torqeedo, and that's helping all of us out there, on a big way.
For sure.
So I think
for us when companies compete, definitely.
Totally.
We want to see that innovation. We hopefully want to see better prices. I don't know if that's going to work.
Well, the only way that works is if we stop paying $5,000 for a damn trolling motor,
Different subject. Prices are.
Yeah.
Our lifestyle's not cheap.
No, it's not, and that was one of the things on the kayaking side that I did appreciate, is cost of ownership being so much more affordable. A lot more people could get into it. And I always tell folks, when we go out, that when they're looking at the kayak, I give them to, usually the main one I give them has got the Newport NK180 on it. It's for a new canoe. It's our EPS system. It's got foot steering. So they're tootling around there, and then they see me with my tournament rig right next to them as we go out. And like I tell them, I've got a problem, okay? So you don't need what I have in here to go fishing and enjoy yourself. We as tournament anglers have issues that, I'm sure they make some medication for. But our fix is to get out, on the water. So you don't have to build it out, right? I mean, and that's what's leading me to this, getting rid of that live scope, bro, is just the fact that I'm not the kind of guy, my fishing style doesn't suit that live scope. Will I miss it? Maybe occasionally, like checking out brush piles and different things like that. But to be honest with you, it just is, I don't even turn it on when it's in the damn boat half the time, because it's just so much extra mess.
It's a tool. Obviously, those you can use it. You could be very successful. There are people who have like pretty much learned to fish that way. Some of the younger generation have learned that's just kind of what they do. They go scoping. They don't go fishing. There's people who sort of go in between. From older school to the newer school. It's obviously a super polarizing subject in the actual industry. I don't get into any of that because that's nonsense.
It is total nonsense.
But yeah, it's good to know what kind of fisherman you are, what your strengths or weaknesses are, or what you like to do and what you don't like to do on the water.
Yep.
And that kind of that's a great thing. The industry obviously is geared for the mentality of more is more. Obviously, I'm a less is more guy. Over the last couple of years, I have learned to scale back and to have just a less clustered kayak with less gear. It's kind of the analogy of a restaurant, that has like one of those 6 pages menus that have, it's so much stuff on the menu. You get overwhelmed. You can't even make a choice. I like restaurants that specialize in 5 different things, and there's just a few choices on the menu and it's all good. And that's what I've been doing. And that has led to a lot more consistency, not only in my approach, but my finishes as well. I even scaled a little back from the social scene, if you will, a little bit, and really what I wanted to do was camp with my wife and my dog, and have a lot of solitude, and be able to enjoy some success that way as too. So a lot of less is more, and it's sort of a good philosophy to at least entertain.
Well, and the other side, when you said social, everybody has their own niche, right? Everybody has their own routine, especially on the tournament series. I tend to be somewhat solitude myself. I've enjoyed bunking with a bunch of guys or having somebody, stay at a hotel with me to cut cost, because that's always, lodging is one of the things that kills the budget more than anything. Yeah. But if given the chance, and if I find that it's a clean little $50 hotel, I prefer to have that time by myself. Yeah. I have a routine that I like to do, and I get that. But having said that, on the social side, dude, your social media is one of the things that we stay in awe of. You have built an amazing following just over the years that you've been, doing this here. And again, it's that consistency of content. How did that come about for you? I mean, it's one of the biggest things that everybody looks at is how to build that following and so forth.
Well,
Did it come natural to you, or is this something just a lot of hard work, man, to put it together?
yeah, I mean, certainly a little bit of both. I'd like to, maybe offer a little bit of perspective on those comments. I mean, thank you so much. That's great. In terms of like, a large following. I mean, I don't really have that. I mean, I think I have a pretty cool following on Facebook within the space, Instagram. It's so hard to build a channel these days. And I've had some wonderful opportunities to make some really fun content pieces and some meaningful content pieces with Catch. But I think I'm more respected for that within our kayak community, and really not the larger the community at large, fishing at large. I think a lot of people have asked me that. They say your content's really good. I don't understand why it doesn't have millions of views or tens of thousands of views. It kind of has low views or low engagement, and it's a little frustrating. It's a little frustrating because I put in some hard work, but really, I enjoyed the creative process so much that's not the point. The point isn't the numbers to the content, although the irony is that the numbers would be good because the more audience and the more your engagement, the more I'm inspired to do it. If I'm thinking people are really getting a kick out of this and they're telling me about it and they're having there's a connection there, like a literal connection. I mean, I'd be that much more inspired to do it. I'm doing it the way that I'm doing it now because I just enjoy it. It's such a creative process, and really I think we take for granted just how cool the things we can do in the palm of our hand with the phones, like editing features that used to, even 15 years ago, you'd have to pay, for software like that, you'd have to pay some good money. And now, the things that you can do, with voiceovers and editing and all types of stuff just on your phone allows for a lot of freedom. So it's really been cool. And I really want to take it and run with that. I want to get more into filmmaking. I want to get even more into videography. I'd like to write more. And really the a target goal is to do to do a documentary of some type. I have my eyes on a few different subjects, but really nice. I have to sort of to whittle that down a little bit. So yeah, that's
exciting. I mean, you're basically like a Renaissance dude, man. I mean, flat out. It's
yeah. If I can't, I'm horrible with tools. I can't build it. There's so many shortcomings, but when it comes to the creative pursuits of language and maybe cinema and storytelling, yes, I think I have a propensity towards those.
Well, you can't be a kayak angler and not know how to fiddle with stuff. That just kind of comes with the turf, right? I mean, kayak angler, a lot of DIY stuff going on there.
I take all my stuff over to Catch and have Duke do it. I swear to God.
Oh, you do? That's awesome.
There's some things like my fishing, like my actual fishing gear, that I'm really good with. But for example, like if I got a new depth finder, man, I'm not, dude, rigging that stuff up. I'm just horrible with simple things, and I get real frustrated. So I'd rather just do it, give it into the hands of people that do it well and enjoy doing it. I could be belittled and made fun of all day, care less.
It's a wise man that knows his limitations, man. Totally, man. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Well, listen, dude, I can't thank you enough for stopping by and sharing this stuff. I'm excited to see what comes out with Catch Outdoors. That is going to be a ton of fun to see that stuff unfold. And definitely, folks, go give Dusty a follow. Instagram, Facebook, Dusty Yakker. You're going to love the stuff he puts out up there. It hits on so many different levels. It's tough to explain, but it's informative, man. It's fishing. It's an adventure, and it's cool to follow along with you, dude. And
human side, man.
Yeah, exactly. And there's not a lot of guys out there that are embracing that piece. So I'm like I said, if you need anything that you think we might be able to help with, please keep us in mind. Consider us an asset to you, and we're out here, man. Because I love that idea to really explore that further and see where it goes.
Awesome, brother. Awesome.
Well, folks at home, please make sure smash that subscribe button for us. I can't tell you how big that is. Share it with your friends and family as well here on the YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram, that whole piece here as well. Dusty, I have a feeling this will not be the last time we have you on here. We're going to be following you on the Hobie deal there, brother.
Yeah.
And after we roll the exit here, I'll catch up with you after the recording stop, and we'll wrap this stuff up.
All right.
Folks, please make sure likes, follows. That is a ton of huge support for us out there. And as always, folks, tight lines and be safe.